Hey YouTube. It's Monday night, you guys. So hop on. Let me know when you're here. Let me know where you're tuning in from and if this is your first time or are you a regular? Are you a regular? Hey Jen. Oh, that's a good name to see. I haven't seen that name in a while. So good to see you here tonight. I'll get a few minutes till everybody kind of pops on and then we'll start our little Monday night rendezvous. Hey, Kelsey. Hello. Hello, hello. I always get excited when I start seeing people pop on. Like, you're like, what? Deborah's on? What craziness is she going to say now? I don't think you say that. Let's say hello, Renee. Hello, hello. Hello, Samantha from Arizona. Arizona has been on my mind a lot lately, like this week. I keep thinking, I just want to go to Arizona, which is really weird for me. Not that it's weird. No, it's weird for me because normally when I think of getting away, I think I need to get to a beach. And I keep thinking, no, I got to go to Arizona. So maybe I'll be there eventually. I mean, obviously not anytime soon with traveling the way it is, but maybe soon, Samantha. So hello, Nicole from Albany and Rachel. Hello, hello. Hi, YouTubers. Let me see where you are. Let's see. Hello, Jill and Kate. Yay, Deborah's on. You guys really say that. Oh my God, I got to tell my kids. Hey, Robin and Naomi from North Carolina. Palm Beach. That's right. That's right. Pam, hello. And Diane and Mike. Fantastic. Where does it say that, Mike? It's been like that for years. So I'm wondering if it's something new that it's saying. But it doesn't make me any money there, Mike. No, I don't. I think a quarter. I literally am not kidding. I think it's 25 cents. I think so. Hey Linda, now you're here. Yes, you're here now. I'm going to talk a little bit about that for you guys. Hey Kevin, how are you? I kind of wanted to go over what I have the Screaming Goat. Do you see it? It's right here. It's right on my little shelf. Last week, I played this. Listen, everyone. It's kind of disturbing, but it's so fun. So Sharon, it is right here. Oh, you guys can't. You can see it on Facebook. So I want to reiterate, last week, I think I mentioned that I just released that course on how to be in the now. And can I tell you guys, it's totally free. It's on my Teachable. It's deborahhanlon.teachable.com. You sign up to join my it's called Teachable. It's basically an online teaching platform where I can sit all of my courses that I'm offering. So you sign up to be a part of my online school, and then you'll get taken to the page that shows all the classes that I'm teaching. I don't know how to bring this one up to the top. So you just have to scroll down to the very bottom. And it's how to be in the now. And it's totally free, you guys. So it's about 30-minute class, maybe 35 minutes. And it's just, you don't even know you need this until you listen to it, please. And I sound like an idiot. This is why I made this free, because I want you guys to watch it, to listen to it, to download it. And here's the thing that frustrates me, because people constantly will go like, I can't believe you charge for your services. And then I want to give a big giant middle finger to people. And then I say, okay, well, then don't come to me. So that's fine. I get it. But then don't be mean to me. So I do offer a lot of things complimentary all the time. And this is one of them. And you don't even know you need it. But how come when I offer something totally free, very few people take advantage of it? I mean, I probably have about 100, but I've got 12,000 of you on here. I have 9,000 on my mailing list. 100 of you want to sign up for this? So you don't even know you need it. It's totally free. And it's about 30-minute class. I'm in this chair. It's going to be very familiar. You're going to even feel like I'm live because you're used to me sitting in this chair now talking to you guys. And it's about what being present really means. It's about being in the now. And no matter how much research and studying and living and learning I have done about consciousness and will never stop, and I feel like I'm just scratching the surface, I still am like, oh my God, the thought of being present, we all hear it, we all know it, oh, I've got to get present, I need to be present, but you don't even know what that means. I'm telling you, you don't know what that means because I didn't know what it means. And this is all I talk about. This is all I do. And I used to think that being in the now, being present, meant that I was going to feel spiritually elated and like nothing can touch me. So I'm so present. And it's not that at all. It's so much more real than that because I don't think that's sustainable. That kind of level of like, oh, I'm peace and love all the time. I don't think that's normal. I don't think that's normal for the normal human being to live in this constant loving, peaceful space. What is possible, and it's so frustrating. So I'm like, I give this stuff and like 100 people sign up for it, which people say 100 people, that's a lot. I don't think it is. I really don't. So when I offer something, and you're open to it, please like take advantage of it because it's 30 minutes of your time. You can pop it on and listen to it in the car. Whatever you need to do, just let it sink in. Even as I was saying it, I listened back to it. And even as I listened back to my own words to you guys, I learned something. How is that possible? Because that's how consciousness works. So it's deborahhanlon.teachable.com. And then you sign up for the Center for Being Knowing Doing online. And then when you sign up, you'll get brought to my screen that says, I don't know, classes or something. And enroll now, scroll to the bottom. I'm making it sound much harder than it really is right now. You scroll to the bottom, it's at the very bottom, be in the now. I think there's 4 or 5 classes there. So it's not like you're going to be scrolling for a long time. It's there, you guys. So you listen to it, what being in the now is. It's super accessible, meaning being in the now is like not this big giant spiritual, like, oh my God, I'm so present. So present. It's not that. It's so not that. So I want you to watch this, get a grab of it, get a hold of it, let it start sinking in so that you can learn from it and learn that, and this sounds like hokey, but the more I'm doing it, I'm like, holy crap. Like happiness, air quotes, because whatever that means to everybody, is literally one thought away all the time. And it's our own stuff, our own thinking, our own busy minds that keeps us from it. And once you start to see like, holy crap, I am really addicted to a series of thoughts, a patterned series of thoughts that keeps happening over and over and over. Once you realize that, you start to notice how quickly your default is this crazy, inner voice. I call it the asshole mind, asshole brain. Once you realize that, you can grab control of it. You can. It takes practice. It takes diligence. It takes awareness. It's not like this magic pill or anything, but it's so simple once you're like, oh, wow. It's literally, I feel like I like snap out of a trance, which sounds creepy. I know, but I literally, when I realize I'm ruminating, I'm in my head. And then I'm like, whoa, I don't feel good. Even if it's positive, it's overly positive. It's like, now that, how do I do all that? What do I need to do? When I'm ruminating and I'm spinning, I step back and go, whoa, 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 whoa. Your brain is like, whoa, crazy, too much, on overdrive. And I snap out of it. And then I literally describe, like, what are my hands touching right now? What am I doing? What's my environment? Where am I? And that brings me back to this moment, which is the only moment we actually have. The only moment that's guaranteed is this second right now. And the only moment that's certain that we know what to expect, we know what's happening, is right now. So why the hell would you not want to be in this now? Because this is the only moment of certainty. This is the only moment that does make us feel good. Because if you're watching this, you're probably safe. Because I highly doubt if you're not safe, you're watching me. I hope not. Go get help, call somebody. But if you're watching this and you're listening, you're safe. Everything's fine. So why are you going to ruminate over what's not fine right this second? So it's super, super just accessible. And I'm going to get off my soapbox. Not really, but here I am. So it's there. I think Greg is putting up links, I think. I don't know what that link is. Oh, Greg is posting the YouTube link on Facebook. Gotcha. Hello, Nicole. Thank you. I'm so glad you enjoyed it today. Let me scroll back to everybody's comments here. Hi, Tom. Hello, hello. Hi, Carolyn. Thank you. Melissa in Athens. Hello. I love when you guys all like, you keep me like posted on your lives. So like I will talk to you guys mostly at really difficult times in your lives. And I love when you like follow up with me and you're like, hey, remember we met 3 months ago and you said this and this is what I've done since then. And I just love that. I love that feedback and that check-in. So by all means, please keep them coming because I really do. I wonder about you guys. I wonder whatever happened to so-and-so. And I'm terrible with names, so I won't remember names, but I'll remember like scenarios, situations. So good, Nicole. Thank you. Let's see. Thank you, Kate. She's saying go to meditations. Her meditations are amazing. You guys are my PR team, right? I bought it from my grandma's. The goat. You bought the goat. I was going to say, you can't buy my thing. I didn't put that one up for sale. The goat, she tested positive for COVID the day before her birthday, so I didn't get her until she felt better. I bet you that's helping her, that screaming goat. Let's see. Hello, Colorado from Annie. Hello, hello. All right, let me go back to Facebook and see what's going on over here a little bit. It is, Kevin, hard to close down your thoughts. Thank you, Alyssa. At first, it definitely is. Our minds are so nuts. We're crazy. We're out of control. Our brains are nuts. Every last one of us. I don't care. People go, no, Deborah, I'm so spiritual. Oh, you're the craziest ones. So did I just say that out loud? No, like we don't need to be spiritual. We just need to be ourselves. We just need to be ourselves and realize, whoa, my brain is, all of our brains are completely just scrambling messes. And the temperature, our climate, not like the weather, but the climate right now on the globe is so wild. It's so wild. I love it. I love and I was talking about this last night in my meditation online. The energy of the earth right now is chaotic because we have globally all been thrown into this uncertainty and this awareness of unity and all of this stuff. And now we don't know what to do because all of our old distractions are getting broken down. They're getting broken away. And maybe we could only do 1 or 2 of our distractions, but we were distractions for each other. Our socialization was a distraction. Our socialization kept us in our old roles, right? Our old identities. Like when you go back home, I was talking actually to someone this week and they were saying that they had to stop home for something. And she was like, I reverted to a child again with my mom. And I'm a 46-year-old woman or 45-year-old woman. And all of a sudden, like my mom became, my mother and I was suddenly like 9 or 10 again. So that's what happens to us unconsciously. My father sent me a text last week that would have sent me into outer space, the orbit, right? But I didn't engage in it. And it was harmless. It was nothing nothing. It was a harmless text, but So that's what happens to us all the time. Unconsciously, we get triggered, especially when we're with people who knew us under our old selves, our younger selves. We revert back to that consciousness. And then we forget that we're not that person anymore. Hey, someone just signed up for the class. I didn't catch the name, but thank you. I just saw an email that came in. So with less and less social interactions, we are reverting less and less to our old selves, which is really good, you guys. That's good news. We don't want to be the tantruming 4-year-old anymore internally. We don't want that. Nope, we don't want that. But that's what happens unconsciously when we get pulled back to our old programs or old tapes. Globally, those tapes have been disrupted for everybody. And some a little bit more than others, but for the most part, the way we thought the world worked was taken from us. Now it's our chance to rebuild ourselves. Now it's our chance to individually, don't do it like, oh, well, they think I should do this and she thinks I should do that. Go inward, find out what is it that you want? This is the time. This is why this is happening in the world on a consciousness level. It's happening now so that you have the opportunity to go, what do I want? What do I really want? Let your soul, let your energy, your pristine self, let him or her talk. Let him or her up. The answer might be, but I don't know. That's a cool answer. At least it's talking to you. So you don't need to know, you just need to go inward. So this is why I like this time in our world, because it's like, oh, look at that, everybody. Things aren't as predictable and safe and cozy, even though they never were. They're not as safe and cozy as we thought. Now we have to dig deep. That's a perfect vehicle and a perfect recipe for change, for transformation, for no longer being our old selves. You don't want to be your old self. Why would you want to be your old self? Trust me, I'd love to be like when I was 21, I had like a six pack. Like I like that aspect of my old self. So I'd like her back. She was so determined to like not eat and like over exercise. I don't feel like doing that. I wish I did, but I don't. I'm not there yet. Maybe I won't be. Probably won't. But anyway, so that part of myself I'd like, but who I was then, nah, she's boring. She's draining. She's like, I'm me now. I respond and react to me now. So think about that. Do you want to be your child self? And some of you might say, well, I had a great childhood. I want to go back. I'm not talking about going back to your childhood, either way, good or bad. I'm talking about, do you want to be who you were 20 years ago? I don't want to be who I was yesterday, to be honest. So let alone 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. If you do, there's been zero growth for you, which would be unlikely, to be honest. It would be unlikely. It would be like maybe you were in a coma for the last 30 years. So think about these things, you guys. This is, we could buy into the fear. You could be scared of everything. You can freak out over COVID and I take it seriously. So I'm not saying like, don't worry about it. It's not a problem. Only 1% of the people. I'm not one of those people. I know tons and tons of people who have had it. They're totally fine. I get it. But there's that few that it's not fine for, and we don't want to overload hospitals. I get it. So that's where I come from with this. But why do we want to subscribe to the complete sheer terror and fear? The sheer terror of all of our old systems breaking down and not being the way they used to be. They weren't working. In evolution, when something no longer works, nature naturally takes care of it and says, oh no, we don't need you anymore. We don't need this part of you anymore. That's what's happening right now. That's what's happening on the planet consciously. So you can be part of the group of people who embrace it and move and flow with it, or you can be part of the group of people who are fearful of it and resisting it, and you will be dragged forward. Which would you rather have? So how do you do this? Meditation, self-observation, going inward, getting really honest about your good and negative, aspects of yourselves, getting real, looking at it and letting your soul speak. These are the things that you're going to hear me talk about nonstop, because I am hellbent. That's probably like the worst thing to say. Hellbent sounds terrible. I am emphatic about helping people wake up to themselves. Emphatic. And so everyone knows me like as the medium, and I'm always like, oh my God, it's bigger than that. It's bigger than your actually deceased loved ones who come back and can communicate because they still have consciousness. What about the deceased parts of yourself as you're still living? Because you've got to let parts of yourself, your old self, die for a new one to come forward. Otherwise, we're trying to act out of this dead self, and it's not working. So if you have a part of your life that's not working, it's a dead self that won't die off. You're hanging tightly to an old identity, and it's not working, and it's not going to work. It's like hitching a dead cow to a plow. Like, that's creepy and disgusting. Sorry, that was the visual that came to me. But that's not really going to pull the plow. It's just not. So these dead parts of yourselves were so afraid to let go and drop off and say, it's okay to go. Your former self, it's okay to go. I'm going to step into this new space. I'm going to step into my new self. That's when evolution takes over. That's when effortless living comes in. And I don't mean that everything's easy. I don't mean that. I mean, it's effortless. It's not this like I have to make things happen every second. So that's what I'm gonna be talking about all year. That's for sure. And to me, consciously, what's happening on the planet, what's happening to the United States, so exciting. It is so exciting, you guys. And I know you're like, whoa, she's crazy. Nope. All the old is breaking down and new is coming forward. That's what's excited. You now get to consciously choose what side are you going to be on? Side of fear or side of I'm going to go inward and do what I need to do for me to move my soul forward. Does that make sense, you guys? Yes, I want to hear from you. Thank you. Thank you, Joan. Kim, that resonated with you. Good. I'm glad. We need to keep reminding ourselves of this because it's really quick. The minute we get out into the world or the minute you turn on your television, all of a sudden you're totally sucked back into the drama, the negativity, the fear, this side and that side. Oh my God, everyone just shut up. There's no more sides. Side of self. That's side of self, which is not selfish. It's not selfish. When you're truly operating out of your heart, out of your soul, out of your spirit, you'll be the most generous, open, compassionate, fair human because that's what comes from here. So all this side stuff is contributing to just division, and we have a choice. We have a choice. So what side are you going to be on? Deborah, Hanlon.teachable.com for whoever just asked about where do you go for being in the now is a little bit about that. My other thing, Tiana, you removed all negativity on social media. I'm a big fan of, which even though I'm on social media right now, I'm a big fan of getting out of social media. It's not a place to be social. It can't be. It's so not real unless we do video to each other, video to video. You can read people, you can hear their voices, you can hear their intonation, what they mean, how you say it. It's really easy to get real nasty behind a keyboard. And I don't know why that is. No, I do know why, because I've done that myself. But it's so not effective. And we're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of it. So we should stop saying, well, so-and-so so nasty, because if we're reading it, you're participating in it. Yeah, I'm over the social media thing. Totally over it, except that how else would I get to all of you? So it's like, what do I do? I was reading something. Let's see. Yes, Michael, I did know that. Kathy just purchased the Screaming Goat as well. Noreen, how do I keep myself in check when dealing with those who haven't been changed by the past year? I have a few in my life. Yes, great question. You might not like the answer, but I want you to hang in there and listen. Although you're a good listener, Noreen, you're here and you're absorbing everything all the time. So how do you respond to someone who's not changing? You don't. You don't respond because someone who can't change for whatever reason, they're either not there yet, they're still fearful. We can't teach someone to change. We can only be a good model of change and hope that that is received. It's probably not going to be received to the people closest to you because they know you in multiple ways. So you would think your family would be the ones who not only acknowledge your changes, but they would celebrate them. But actually, that's not true. It's the next level group of people that will see your changes and value them and encourage you. So you have to be your own cheerleader for sure. That's a hard part, and get into a group like these that encourages going outside the box and challenging yourself to go to the next level. That's what it's all about. So what do you do about the people who don't want to change? Nothing at all. It's kind of like, what do you do with the 1-year-old that will not potty train? You're not going to force them on that toilet. Like, I hope not, right? You guys don't do that. So, like, all of a sudden someone's got their baby on the toilet, like, oh, maybe not. You know, you don't force it. You don't force it to happen. It just will happen in time, and you be the model for it. So it's frustrating. It certainly is, Noreen, but you can't teach someone wanting. You can't teach desire, is basically what I'm saying. You can't teach them to desire to make changes. Either they do or they don't. And they might say they do. And here's the thing with change. We might say we want it. That's going to do diddly for us. Diddly. There's the word of the night, is diddly. Diddly, really, Deb? Anyway, you can't want them to change. And if they're not going to take steps to make changes and seek out places to help, because to make change, we need help. We can't do that on our own. We can do it on our own, but it's so much easier if we seek out people who have done what we want to do. It's much easier to kind of observe. But if they're not taking action steps, then really hands off, lay back, and just keep working here instead, because it's not going to end well if you try to make them change, because then they're not, and then it's also going to hold your evolution kind of back. That's a great question. And everybody has them in their life. Everybody, everyone, even, someone around Tony Robbins would look at Tony Robbins being like, that dude just is stuck in the mud. You know what I mean? Like, there's someone always faster and better and more advanced and moving and evolving. So everybody has people in their lives that are happy with where they are, or they're so unhappy, but they won't change. Either way, everybody has that. Kate is saying, I'm wondering how to stay positive during an extreme life shift, even though I know it's for the better. It's scary. It is scary. I'm not negating the scary part, but I'm also not feeding the scary part. Again, disclaimer, before I get totally, people like, yeah, I can't believe this. Everybody called me. What'd they call me? They didn't call me a Nazi. What'd they call me? I don't know. A couple of people called me a name, and I was like, wow, I didn't think I was that, but okay. I lost my train of thought here. How do you stay out of the fear? Turn off the TV, and I'm not kidding about that. If any of you are having anxiety about the state of the world, step number 1, do not watch TV. Do not watch media. Do not watch the news. Don't read the news if that bothers you. I prefer reading it because you can hear the news in your own voice, which is a little more self-soothing than hearing the news with the tone and the pitch and the volume on the TV that is carefully adjusted according to what is being said. Get your notification about what's going on in the world in a very gentle way. Get it from multiple places, multiple sources, all sorts. I'm so freaked out over when I read the same story and it's too opposite. I don't understand. Like, that's not reporting, that's lying. But on someone's part, both parts, who knows? So anxiety and fear, especially about global events, COVID, pandemic, election, all of that stuff, turn off the TV. No more. Step 2 is ask yourself, are you okay right now? And are your loved ones okay right now? If you are, you stay there. Well, right now, everything's good. I don't need to project all this fear into the future because I don't know, because I also don't know what great stuff could have come to me. But I've been taking all this time to think about and worry and focus about fear. So we have a choice. We always have that conscious choice of, what side am I going to experience something on? Am I going to experience this global pandemic in a fearful, terrified way 24/7? Or am I going to experience it in a much more kind of rationalized, calm, learning, going inward way? Everything in life is a choice. So, manage that. And then I would say meditation. Meditation. Anyone wants to make changes, anyone wants to get out of their own way, meditation. That's what I'd say to start. All right, let me check over here. Yes, Stacy, you're on my list. Your questions are on my iPad right here. So I have them coming up right next, Stacy. I was actually going to start with yours, and then I started answering all these other questions. So let me just see who's here. Hello. Kind of a soul. It's totally a soul renaissance. Yes, thank you, Lisa. Actually, I read. Oh gosh, I read a lot lately. I read somewhere that the energy of the planet is very, oh, you know what I think it was attached to? That star. Everyone called it the Christmas star, and I don't like calling it the Christmas star because why does it have to, it's the December star. That star thing that happened last month. They said that the last time it happened, the energy in the globe then started, and that's when the Renaissance started, which is very cool because that's how I feel like this time for us is. This is pre-soul renaissance. That's beautifully put, Lisa. So pre-soul renaissance is where we are. Doesn't that sound much nicer than global pandemic? We're in a soul renaissance. It's freaking fabulous. Which one do you want to pick? We're in a global pandemic where we all could die, or soul renaissance. I'm going to choose soul renaissance. That feels better to me. Thank you, Lisa, for that. Yes, we totally stopped watching TV over the last 6 to 8 months. It made a huge difference in our mental well-being. It's very true. So, first with the TV, and then you know what? Social media might need to take a step back. You might need to stop with social media because it's nasty. It's nasty. I like people. There are people I actually like. And then I might see their post and I might get all pissed. And I'm like, well, Deb, like, why are you having such a visceral response to someone's opinion? Like, oh my God, what's wrong with me that I'm having a visceral response to an opinion? I have to go in here. I have to check me in here. So we don't do that though. We don't go inward. We like to go, well, that person believes this and this one believes that. And trust me, I'm triggered. Don't think I'm like all like, everybody's got a right to an opinion. I believe all of you have a right to opinions, but when it's in our own house, I'm like, are you kidding me? This is what you believe? It's a little different, but I do always then reflect. That I do. Let's see. Let's see. Also, like friends of friends of friends on social media are not your friends. And I know that sounds terrible and I sound like I'm like separating people, but remember, like you have good people in your lives. You have a core group of people. Some might be family, some might be friends, some are coworkers. There are people who you enjoy and admire and like. Right now, I have heard myself say it, and I have heard all of you say it during sessions, whether I'm casually talking to someone in meditation class. Everybody is saying how much they hate people. Can you guys relate to that? Do you know what I'm talking about? I have no more patience for people. I can't tolerate anyone anymore. What's happened to everybody's manners? Everybody's so selfish. Everyone's always out for themselves. How come nobody gets it anymore? I hate everybody. I don't want to talk. I'm happy being at home. I like being by myself. I don't want to be social anymore. I am hearing that all day long, right? And I know you guys. I know you're feeling it. Part of that is because the connections you thought we had that were authentic weren't. We just made ourselves believe they were. So take time to look at your actual people who you do love and care for and and hold them in your heart instead of all this friction, because now you're going to see Johnny, who's say your brother. My brother's name is John. That's funny. I said it's not Johnny, but it's John. My brother's name is John. Say John, who I know and love, we may or may not have the same views. He might make a statement. I might not get that upset because I know John. But then John's friend Billy responds. And now I'm like, wow, Billy's a dumb fuck. And so is John. This is what's happening because of social media. But I don't know Billy. So I don't know where Billy's coming from. But I'm judging the hell out of Billy because I don't like his post and I've been triggered that day. And I saw about 90 of these. And this is what's happening. So then I'll go, Billy, do you really believe that? Blah, 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 blah. And then we start this war. You don't even freaking know the people. Because if you knew them, you might have the respect enough to listen to them. You might. Sometimes you don't. Oh my God, that's so weird. My brother just texted. It's not. I'm psychic. That's what I do. But he just sent a message on Facebook. Maybe he's on here. I don't know. Hey, Johnny. So listen to this. Get a sense. Instead of throwing out all this anger and all this, look at that person's views and that person, can they believe this? And da. Shut up. I don't care if you believe in peace and love and joy and healing human beings. Someone else might not. And that's just allowed. It's just allowed. And the minute we don't allow that is the minute we've become what we're saying we're not. Because if you're for love and peace and inclusion and compassion, then you will extend that to all people with an opinion. Does not mean you need to agree with it. I don't agree with a lot of things, but I can say, you know what? That's their view. I don't know why. The only thing I can do is maybe ask them what brought them to that conclusion if I really care to know that much. So pay attention. Pay attention to your behavior, not everybody else's. Screw everybody else's. That's for them to pay attention to. Pay attention to you. Pay attention to who is authentic, who you love, who you trust, who you admire. Those are your real people. And in that, there's a web. There's a web that, my John is connected to Billy, who's connected to Kate on here's sister. So that's how love is a connection. We don't have to love everybody, but love the people you love right in front of you who are really true to you, and let the network of love work its way through everyone. I think everyone thinks, oh, I gotta love everybody. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Sorry, it's just not when we're in human form. When we cross over, absolutely happens, because we finally realize we weren't separate at all. So pay attention. Everyone's guilty of spewing out this negativity, and that's the good news. Why is that good news? Because you can change your behavior. And when you change your behavior, you create a stronger network. That makes sense. It's makes sense. So yes, Eileen is saying, yes, I've misjudged a lot of relationships. Nice to have my eyes wide open, though. I'm better off knowing the truth. Yes, yeah, but you don't know the truth. You just know a sliver of the truth. Nobody ever knows the truth. And that's the problem, is the truth for you. There are people who don't like me. Can you believe that, you guys? Is this not shocking? I know. I'm like, how do you not like me? There are people who absolutely hate me, right? So their opinion's true. Their opinion is their opinion. They're right. I think I'm fabulous. I don't know. But they don't like me. So I'm not going to negate their opinion of me, because I'm not going to take my time. I don't want them to. I didn't intend to make somebody hate me. But not everybody is going to share the same opinion. I don't know why we need to. So they have a truth. You have a truth. And in the whole, there's the truth with a capital T. So remember that. Judgment is just you having, not just you, Eileen, everybody, having just a sliver of the truth, not the whole truth. That's why I like that movie. I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago, Crash, because Crash really did a great job. Crash, right? It was Crash. I'm suddenly feeling like it's not the wrong title. But Crash did a good job in showing that there's good and perception of not good in all people, all of us. And that's all this whole thing is a perception. And we don't know. We don't know. We only know those very close to you as much as possible, but even them you don't know. Even them, you just don't know. So own your own side of the street. Realize that your opinion is just your opinion. It's valuable. You're allowed to have it, but it's not the full truth. It's just your view. It's your perception of the truth. And then we come back to center with that. So, all right, Stacy, let me get to your question here, my friend, because we're kind of shifting gears. Let's see. Yes, exactly, Carol. That's exactly it. Everyone, it's amazing how anyone can come to on the attack the minute someone has a difference of opinion. I've been telling my friends to meditate, or coworkers. Excellent. Good, Christine. Barbara likes Soul Renaissance, so thank you for that. Barbara, thank you. Let's see. Time to go through your friends list. Yeah, if you're not friends with everybody, don't be friends with everybody, because you might not. Or be friends with them, but realize, oh, this is a person I don't know well, and I'm not really sure I agree with their opinion. We could do that too, but we don't need to do all this like getting pissed off and attacking. And I've done it myself too. So I'm not saying like everybody just get holy. No, I'm saying watch your shit. Watch what you do, you guys, because you're doing it and you don't know you're doing it. So that's a way you can only take care of your side of the street. It's the only part that you could take care of. Okay, Stacy, I promise. Thank you, Noreen. Stacy asked, I love when you guys are writing in questions during the week, because that helps me like just have content that I know we're going to talk about. So that helps me. So by all means, submit questions to me. So when we return to the spiritual form, everything that we did in the physical form does not affect the spiritual form? ? People that were deemed bad do not suffer any consequences in the spiritual form. If this is so, I don't understand how a spirit would grow. Such a great question. So one, a spirit does not grow, because that's becoming a spirit or returning to source or becoming energy is simply the realization and remembrance that we appear as separate beings here in physical form. But when we leave the physical form, we're reminded that we're all one fabric of energy. We're one consciousness. We're one source. So spirit, souls, energy, they don't need to grow. That's a human concept. That's a human-made awareness. We grow and learn and go through stages in evolution, but energy is energy. It doesn't need to evolve. The only thing energy does is it changes its form that it goes in, and energy and consciousness is always expanding. So it's always seeking the more experiences in physical energy is having, the more possibilities become possible in energy form, from energy to physical form. And so we're constantly growing. But as pure energy, we don't need to grow. We're already perfect. So that's that. People that were deemed bad do not suffer. Yes, they do. That's where kind of karma comes in. But karma is not like, we all use the phrase karma, like, I can't wait till they get their karma, right? I've said it like probably 8 times today. Just kidding. I don't think I did say it today. Shocker. We need to put this on the calendar. But karma is just really like the word that describes a cause and effect. So we know karma to usually mean bad or good karma, but me picking up this gigantic mason jar and drinking the water is karma there. I took an action, and then there's going to be an effect. There's a cause, I'm thirsty, and then there's an effect, I drink, and then that's setting off a chain of events, which is karma. So, we can kind of relax on the whole karma thing, because it's more about taking action steps, and every single action we take has a consequence or a reaction. Even consequence makes it sound negative. So think of karma as before and after, cause and effect. It's just that link to the two. So those who do negative things, I wrote this in my book, that they will experience whatever they did to harm someone else, or whatever action it was they took that was deemed bad. When they are returned to source and become everything again, they have to experience what it felt like to be the recipient of their actions. So someone like Hitler, killing over 6 million people, and to this day has ripple effects. His crossing over is still not done, really, because he's still feeling the ripples effects from the grandchildren of the people he harmed, and the great-grandchildren even. So they will feel it, but they are returned to source, which people don't like when I say that. They're like, no, I want punishment. But punishment is a human concept. It's not really something nature deals with. It's not like, I always say, like, how would nature respond to this? How would nature respond? Nature has no issues with anything. I think I've used this example, like the sunflower is not pissed off at the oak tree for being bigger. It's not being like, oh, look at that oak tree thinks it's all big and bad and it's stealing my sun, and it's doing that because it doesn't like me because I hooked up with its brother. It doesn't do all that bullshit, right? It's just, I'm being a sunflower and I'm gonna receive as much sun as supposed to, and the oak tree is just an oak tree and it's gonna receive sun too. So that's that. I lost my train of thought in there because I had four thoughts going on. I think you guys probably had like 8,000 questions in that moment. So yeah, Jen, love that book. Brian, I had several past life regressions with Brian Weiss, and he's pretty freaking amazing. So amazing guy. Yeah. Yeah, so I lost my train of thought. Isn't that fun? Anyway, I guess it wasn't that important. Half of you were like, wait, what? Cause, effect, ripple, effect. I don't know. I think I should take Adderall. It's gone. Karma, cause, effect. Anyone, you guys know what's going on? I'm trying to see what you guys are writing. You guys are like, no, we lost you too. We weren't listening either. We just have you on, Deborah. Let me just reread your questions, Stacey. Stacey has 3 here, 3 questions. Okay, so I think I answered that. People who are bad do not suffer. They do, but they don't at the same time. Yeah, thank you for giving thumbs up, you guys, on Facebook and YouTube. So when people cross over, are they with our loved ones who have previously passed? This is my belief and it comforts me. Absolutely. I think I brought this up a few times on here, but we have to start thinking much more outside the box than what we know, the other side and death and all that. Even though a lot of people are still like brand new to like mediumship and stuff, we've got to evolve our understanding of this, because I feel like the world is on like a kindergarten, first grade level of energy and consciousness on the other side. And we need to get ourselves, in higher grades of learning. So not only are we reunited, because when I say like we leave this body and we are returned to source does not think in terms of like, oh, there's the Hanlon family, go down that hole and you're going to find them. Source is those I came from and all of them, all that came before them and all that they were connected to and they were connected to. And so it's all of everyone. So when we pass over, not only are we reunited with our family and we recognize them as family and then bigger, but we're reunited with all. So now that you're listening to my voice, just because you're tuned in, whoever you're tuned into, if you're tuned into Oprah, if you're tuned into Ellen, if you're tuned into Tiger King, I don't know, whatever you're tuning into, you're linking consciousness with me and therefore my people on the other side. And you're linking your people with my people on the other side. It's this giant, again, think web, this giant linking of consciousness. So it's bigger than just, will I see my parents again? It's so much bigger. You will see me, all of you will see me on the other side. Even if this is the first time you've ever tuned in and the last time you tune in, you will know exactly who I am. When you sit on a bus or a plane or you share a cab with someone, whoever you're sitting next to, you're linking consciousness with the people on the other side. And so you will know when you cross over and they cross over, you'll know exactly, oh yeah, remember we were in 4A? Remember that flight? Oh my God, that baby was crying the whole time. Remember that? Like, not quite literally, you're going to have that conversation, but you're going to know exactly who they were. So it is so much bigger than only seeing your loved ones. It's so much more exciting than just that. It's so much more expansive and infinite and limitless and powerful. And soul energizing. I mean, we don't have words really to describe it. So does that make sense? Hello, Susan. Yeah, I was speaking of Hitler. Maybe that's why well, thank you, Stacey. Maybe that's why I lost my train of thought. Who wants to think of Hitler? I don't. Okay, let me see. The next question Stacey has is, I also wanted to clarify that people that suffer in the physical world, either by choice or because they were born disabled, do not reap any benefits when they cross over to the spiritual form? Question mark. Meaning somebody that puts up with abuse or mistreatment will not be awarded or rewarded per se in the spiritual realm. No, they'll totally be rewarded because they're reconnected to that whole that we just talked about. So that is a reward in and of itself. And again, these are human concepts because humans need to be rewarded. Nature doesn't need a reward. I was going on that before with the sunflower and the oak tree. Nature doesn't need to be rewarded. It's just is. This is the experience. I am a sunflower right now, and I'm doing all the sunflower things that I know to do. I'm digging my roots in deep, and I'm going to grow my stalk, and I hope that I have this big bloom, and I'm going to keep the bloom until it's time to die, and then my seeds will regenerate. And that's all it's doing. It's not like, man, you know what? I was really freaking hoping to be a rose bush this time. This is bullshit. You know, they're not doing a blame game. They're not doing blaming my parents. You're not saying like, well, my brother got all the rewards in school and I felt less than. It's not doing any of that stuff. Our brain does that. So it's just doing what it's doing. So these human concepts a lot of times don't make sense to people because we're trying to put a human concept on something that's not human. It's so much better. Human is limit, meaning limitations. We have limitations. Now try to imagine of infinite possibilities and no limitations. I mean, it's hard to at first. It's hard to. I'm trying to think of a good analogy. If I told you guys like, hey, in 2 minutes, I want everybody to get up from wherever they are, go to their kitchen, fill up a glass or mason jar of water, and then come back to me, you would all be like, all right, I was comfy, but I don't want to get up. It's cold here, but all right, I'll do it. Okay. You didn't put limitations on that. Some of you might have been like, oh, if I get out of my room right now, I might walk past the baby's door and I might wake them up. And so some of you might even have limitations or perceived limitations about just going to get a drink of water. Some of you might be like, ugh, and then if I go down, I'm going to see the dishes. I'm going to be really pissed off, so I don't want to do it. So you might have a limitation, but for the most part, none of us have a limitation about going to get water. But if I told you, okay, guys, in 2 minutes, I'd like for you to get on a space shuttle, and I would like you to go pop over to the moon and then come back and then rejoin me, you would all be like, what the is she talking about? Like, what? She's out of her mind. That does not feel possible. It is not possible, Deborah. It's not possible. I think that's the difference between human self, limitations, and non-human self, spirit self. Nothing's impossible. That would be very doable. That request, go to the moon, come real quick, come back. That's doable in consciousness, in the ability of what's possible. Does that make sense? So as a human, we're limit and we believe in limitations and we get really stuck on them. We really do. Well, I can't be anything because I didn't have an education. Well, I didn't get a good start, because my parents didn't do anything for me, so I can't. Well, you know what? I've gained 50 pounds, so I can't feel good about myself. So I probably won't get the job of my dreams. Like we put all these limitations all the time. Spirit self, there's no such thing. None. So that's the difference between the two consciousness. So rewards do not really transfer over to the other side because rewards is a human concept. Does that make sense, you guys? Okay, what's the next question? Okay. And then one more question Stacey has is I like the way she said that. She said, oh, I did have one more thing. Sorry. I like that. When you try to connect with people in the spiritual realm, you cannot connect with them using your brain. is more like you connect with them by feeling or how they felt when you were with them. So the way I do it, every medium is different. It's like a big game of imagination for me. So I just all of a sudden I get quiet and I literally say like, okay, like if, you belong to so-and-so, I start to say like, who would you be? Who are you? Who are you around so-and-so? And then I start to feel patterns, which sounds really weird, but I see patterns. So like usually a dad shows up in the same energy pattern for me. So I'll be like, oh, that's a dad energy. Not because they're saying, oh, Luke, I am her father. They're not saying that. It's a pattern of energy that I recognize like, oh, this is a dad. Or, oh, this is a biological dad, but it's not the one that raised her. There's a different nuance there. Sometimes it's not. Or it's an uncle, but we were really close. It was like a dad. Or a grandfather that raised you. So it's just this big game of imagination, being aware of patterns of energy and how that feels like to me. And then it's just like a full sensory experience. Like all of a sudden a thought will pop in my head. I'll see something visually. I'll feel something like if somebody had a tongue ring, I'll feel like, oh, I got something in my mouth. Like, do they have a tongue ring or did they have braces? What's going on? So I'll start to have these sensory experiences. But every medium is different. I mean, I'm what's called a mental medium, which means I'm seeing it all through my mind's eye. And I imagine, not that I'm saying like, so sometimes people take me quite literally and they're like, when that spirit entered your body, and I'm like, whoa. We're not having spirits enter my body. We talked about that last week. I'm not having ectoplasm come out of my mouth. So if you didn't see it, you should watch last week's story or thing, YouTube, about ectoplasm. Weird. So it's not like an energy comes into my body. I just imagine like if I were this energy, what would I feel like? How would I think? What would I be like? So I let them come into my consciousness. And then I start to feel like I'm looking out of their eyes. And I start to feel like, oh, that's weird. Like I can't move my arm. And then I'm like, oh, did they have a stroke? Because I can't feel my right arm. So that's how I feel things. And then over time, certain things are just patterns, like names. If I hear John, that's John. I don't hear, hi, Deborah, my name is John and I'm so-and-so's father. Nice to meet you. It's not like that at all. It's more of a tuning into the finer subtleties of the energies around people and knowing what it means and what to do with it. That's the hard part of mediumship. That's the part that I don't think everyone can do because you're probably not interested in doing that. Everyone here is going to be like, I'm totally interested. I want to do that. But I mean, like, you might like to sing, but you don't want to always sing for people on stage. So not everybody might want to do readings for people. And I would highly tell you not to. No, I was kidding. It's exhausting. Thank you, Stacy. So I hope those answered your questions. Let me know if you still have any additional questions with those responses. Let's see. Kiki, I'm sorry. It says, hello, Carolyn. What if a loved one who passed reincarnates before their loved one passes? Will they miss each other? No. So, reincarnation is also not literal. So, what did we want? Oh, Surviving Death, the Netflix thing. And there was the boy in there that was a Hollywood, I forget, it was a dancer or something. There was a Hollywood somebody. So that Hollywood singer passed, and then this boy in the current time had memory of being this Hollywood guy. But that boy who's here now is still his own self. Like he has the consciousness and memories for whatever reasons. It's unknown. I think it's unknown. Maybe it's known and I'm just not aware of it. But he's still his own person. I forget what his name was. Does anyone remember? Let's just call him Joe. So if Joe was Teddy back in the 50s. Joe is still just Joe. He's not all of Teddy. He's picking up on memories and patterns of energy and frequencies that happened to Teddy. And he's remembering them as Joe. So sometimes people get confused thinking like so-and-so literally is like my son is my grandmother. But no, your grandmother's still your grandmother and your son is still your son, but there's aspects that are showing up. So no, they will not miss each other at all because source is source. It's like, think of the greatest family reunion, although that doesn't sound great to me. I don't want that. Let me put that up there. But if you happen to like love and adore all members of your family, then it's the greatest family reunion when you cross over. It's this great reunion, remembering, reconnecting to all that is life affirming when we cross over. So there's no words. There's really no words that could totally explain any of this. Okay, let me... Eileen, I did not know you were disabled. I'm laughing. People are probably going to be like, "Oh my God, Deborah's sick." No, Eileen's like family to me. I'm kidding with that. Let's see. Okay, I totally get what you're saying about our old self. I say age doesn't bother me, but I'm still where I was years past is the sad part. I'm still where I was years past. As far as like grief, as far as what, Carolyn? Where are you still the same? Let's see, like the F-bomb, thank you. I can't stop it. Let's see, I could be a serial killer with these parts. Haha, the first step is hard. Why don't we want to let go of shit that doesn't agree with us? That's why I listen to you and hopefully leap onwards. Such a great question. Why don't we want to let go of stuff that doesn't shit that does not agree with us? It's because, a great question, everyone tune in. It's because even if we don't like something, it's at least familiar. And our brain is wired for survival and keeping us safe. Our brain is not here to make us feel good, to make us feel actualized. It's not that kind of computer. That's what our soul does. That's what our spirit, our energy does. So feeling purpose and meaning and connection comes from here, our heart, our energy. The brain is responsible for finding patterns and finding the fastest way for us to process all this information through our eyes, our ears, all our senses. The brain has to process it quickly, and so it creates these channels or these grooves that are like a super highway for information. And over time, the more we experience something, the deeper this groove goes, So basically, I'm talking about we're conditioned. We are conditioned. All of us are conditioned to behave and believe and think and react and respond in a certain way. And it's along the superhighway of our brain neural pathway to be efficient, to keep us safe. The problem is we've evolved from being cave people. And we don't really need that mechanism in our brain anymore. That one that keeps us safe, that needs to process emotional information quickly, because the brain is saying, oh, this person's getting upset. Say you're emotionally triggered, somebody hurt your feelings. The brain is just registering, oops, something's wrong. So it goes into fight or flight or freeze. And over time, that becomes your pattern. But it's an emotional thing. But the brain doesn't know that, because cavemen, they weren't like, oh gosh, I'd really love to find purpose and meaning. That they weren't wired for that. They were foraging forests and caves and God knows what they're doing, drinking however water out of a stream, which is a side note, remind me about drinking water. But anyway, so they were wired for survival. We still have that same primitive brain with a much more developed awareness of happiness and purpose and meaning. We also happen to be in a part of the globe that gives us that privilege of being able to think about purpose and meaning. If we were in a country that was war-torn and we had extreme poverty everywhere and famine, this is a luxury to want purpose and meaning. So remember that, guys. If you're searching for it, you're in a luxury state of being, state of the part of the world, the globe. So we don't want to let go what's familiar, because our brain is processing it as no. We do it this way because that's what I know what to do with it because the pathway tells me what to do when you have certainty. And I blow circuits up here when I start to change things because the brain has to reorganize itself. The cool thing is the brain can reorganize itself. It's called neuroplasticity. Your neuroplasticity, this is science, so go look it up, go Google it. It's so fascinating. This is modern technology that shows that they used to think that brains were done developing at, I think it was 30, right? And now they're realizing, no, you could rewire a brain at any age, at any time. So that goes back to our habits. Like, you take a look at your habits. What are you doing over and over and over and over that's unconscious response? Do you come home and instantly know that since every time you come home, you use the bathroom and then you put your bag down and then you go right to the kitchen and you start cooking? The minute you do those things over time, that's what's going to be expected. And then all of a sudden, because your brain is saying, oh, this is what you're supposed to do, you think everyone else has that expectation on you when you're just following your own pattern, your own habit. And yeah, other people start to expect it too, yes, because that's what happens and that's what they're used to. And then when you change that, that means everyone else has to change behavior. So that's why we don't want to let go of things that no longer serve us, because there's a part of us that's holding on to it for safety, feeling like at least I know what to do now. When you start a diet, right, and you're like, oh, good, I'm not going to eat like a gavron 24/7. Interesting. All of a sudden you become aware of like, holy crap, how am I not 400 pounds? Because I was nonstop eating 24/7. Like I would see it, I'm just going to eat it. I'm just going to grab it. And then when I start to monitor what I'm eating, I'm like, geez, I was so unconsciously eating all the time just because it was like, I'm in the kitchen, I feel snacky, I want to crunch. Well, don't. Don't, Deb. You don't need a crunchy, salty, sweet thing right now. So just watch your patterns. And that's a really great question. That's why you don't want to let go. Fear of what's on the other side of that isn't going to be as good as what you know you have, which anytime you change, what's on the other side of it is always good. You just have to stick around and be present for the change. It doesn't happen immediately. Nothing ever does, but we always expect it to. Let's see. Diddly. I 100% believe in reincarnation. Yes, absolutely. How come I can't scroll down? Oh, I can. Okay, let me see how, like Facebook. Do you have any questions over here? Hello. Hello, Stacy. Hello, Linda. Okay. Oh, that's so nice. Renee said, however you do it, you are 100% accurate for my mom and sister's reading. I love to hear that. I really do. It feeds my ego, you guys. You know that. No, honestly, you know what it is? Because I'm always like, what the hell am I talking about? I know what I know in the moment. Like I know I'm right, which sounds obnoxious. But then when I'm done with the call, I kind of disconnect from everyone's energy. And then I'm like, the hell did I just tell that person? I think I just told them to bungee jump out of a helicopter. Hope that worked out well for them. Hope, so that's why I like the feedback. Tell me what's going on. Be like, yeah, only if I was right though. Don't tell me when I was wrong. I'm just kidding. How come some people who have passed over come forward and some don't during a reading? Great question, Lisa. I think there's a couple of things over the years that I've recognized as patterns. This isn't the answer, but I think this contributes to an answer. One, personality. If they were for me, this, I can only speak for myself as a medium. If they weren't very talkative and big conversationalists here in life, I'm picking up on the energy that you knew them to have. They're not all of a sudden going to take on a whole new personality. So if they were kind of that quiet and head nodding person that really didn't chime in, didn't offer a lot, didn't converse a lot, then they're going to come through like that. Doesn't mean they won't say anything, but they usually just kind of stick to how their personality was. If they were very, very private and never let anyone in on any of their lives, that is also something that I found that contributes to, wow, I don't really hear them. Wow, interesting. Another thing is if you didn't know them, again, for me as a reader, because I like proof. So I don't like telling someone something that can't be anchored in some kind of proof. So that's why I don't do angelic realms. That's why I don't do any of that, because I'm like, I don't know. I think it's Raphael around you. I don't know, because how do I get proof of that? I want proof. So I don't like that. But if you have like Nicole, like an uncle who passed of a heart attack, and I say who passed of a heart attack, like there's proof there. So I'm anchored in proof. So if you didn't know them well, I then don't have a lot to go on for proof. So I personally, as the medium, feel less confident in telling you about someone when I could be completely wrong and might have somebody else's energy, and I'm now saying, no, this is your uncle so and so, and you're like, I think it's my cousin Larry, and I'm like, no. So I don't like it if you guys don't know them or know anything about them. I personally am not confident with giving information that cannot be traced and proven. Sometimes someone passed a really long time ago and you don't have a lot of memories of them. So it kind of goes along the lines of not knowing them well or just not remembering them. So those are like the 4 top reasons for me that happens. But I've had people that say, oh, no, my mom was like the loudest, chattiest person ever. And I can't get them. And sometimes people say, yeah, you couldn't really get her last time either, which helps me, which I know sounds crazy, but then I'm like, oh, good. So then this is something with her energy. Is it a bad thing? Are they not happy? Are they not crossed over? No, not at all. It could just be the way I interpret that person's energy too. So it could totally be the medium, could be me. And never let a medium tell you otherwise, like, oh, they don't want to talk. It's not that they don't want to talk. It's usually they either didn't talk a lot here or someone else is talking over them or for them. Does that make sense? That's a good question. I don't think I've had that in a while. Oh, let's see. Hello, Missy. I wanted to say something about drinking water. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. Side note, not very spiritual, but my brain was thinking, never stops. So you know how we're told that we need to drink a lot of water, and water like keeps your body healthy, and like we need lots of water, lots of water. We hear that all the time, right? And I agree. I'm very thirsty. I do like to drink water. I do drink a lot of water. But I drink like excessive amounts of water because I have these big giant mason jars that I'm obsessed with to use after we have spaghetti. I have to keep it, and then we recycle them through so that I feel like they're getting more use than just this one time. It's my little part of saving the world, right? So it dawned on me, what the hell did cave people do? They didn't have water bottles. They didn't have mason jars. I mean, what, they hollow out bones, and then what, they carry them, there's a cup, and like they dip it in the stream. How big was that? They were not getting eight ounces of water a day. There's no way. Were they like dogs? I know this is terrible. I did think of this. Like they survived. I mean, I know it was an ice age that took them out, so it wasn't lack of water. So I need to know, like, is this water thing just like a way to sell us freaking water? Because I don't know. I want to know what the cavemen do. So if anyone's good with anthropology, I need you to tell me, like, how much did they drink? Did they not need as much? Were they like human cactuses? And we're not anymore? Like now we need constant water? Like, I don't know. What needs constant water? I was going to say a rice patty. I don't know why that came to my brain. I know nothing about rice patties, but I don't know what needs a lot of water. Humans, but coconuts, okay, but like how much water? There's no way they were like, oh, I gotta keep drinking all this water. So I want to know what they made clay pots and water jugs, and then they filled it up, and they were like, oh, I better stop at the stream and get my water because I need my 8 ounces. No, I know they didn't say 8 ounces. I'm joking about that part, but I wonder if they got enough water. Or maybe they got too much water, or maybe we're getting too much water. What's happening here? Do you know what I'm saying? Thank you, Kate. You're laughing and learning with Dad. This bothers me. This thought, I need to know, like, was the water consumption different in a cave person than they are with us today? Yeah, I don't know. I'm like literally, because every time I drink water and I'm like, that would have been handy to the cavemen. This would have been fun. This would have been much easier. What'd they do before they made clay pots? What'd they do then? You know, they had to evolve to make clay pots. Did they get down like dogs do and they lap up with their mouth? Did they do this? How much water can you get like that? So again, see why our brains are still primitive? Like we drank water like that? I don't know. This bothers me. This freaking bothers me. It's ridiculous. So yeah, my brain is all over the map here. Okay, let's see. I don't know. So pull the trigger, not pull the trigger. Deleted my trigger yesterday with a certain mean spirit. Don't diss my Deborah. Oh, I saw that, Carolyn. Thank you. Yeah. I was like, someone's trying to poke the bear over here. I'm not going to let him. But he did. He did trigger me. So thank you for Carolyn. I saw your response to that. It's a marketing scheme to sell water. It probably is. You know, hey, guess what? Let's poison your water. So now we got to sell you water. We won't even go on that topic. But still, how did cavemen drink? Because they didn't get enough water. I'm telling you, they couldn't have. Do you guys? I drink a ton of water, and some days I'm like, oh, I didn't drink enough water. Go figure. So yeah, you drink. I always drank 8 cups a day. I was told by my gastro doctor it's too much. Now I drink about 6 now. So maybe they were just more intuitive when they knew, oops, I'm very thirsty. I need lots of water. And like, hey, I don't need. So yeah, they had fresh water running through their cave. Would they like stick their tongue against the side of the cave and like, oh, wow, I hope they were grateful for it. They probably weren't because they weren't spiritually evolved yet for gratitude. It was just like, I need water. I don't know. This bothers me so badly. Somebody get me an anthropologist professor, please, to settle the water thing for me with cavemen. Okay. Hello, Jeffrey and Jad. How are you? Angela, good to see you over here. I'm glad I got the water thing out. It's been bothering me for a while. Oh, Matt, I'm sorry about that. My uncle just passed. How do his kids get closure? Ugh, closure is a big word. I don't know that I actually even believe in closure, which sounds crazy. Because there's so many layers to human beings. So one area could be healed, but that could also open up another area that's not healed. So it's just, I'm going to say just in a generalized sense right now is time. Time is closure, but I put that in air quotes. Let's see, came in a dream. So Jenny, if somebody, our dreams are usually pertaining to what happened the day of the dream or the day before. So if something within the family was triggered, that's probably what the dream is about. Wow, Bob, it's been a long time since I've seen you here. How are you doing? Let's see. I keep talking about water and having to go to the bathroom to pee. Yes, ditto. Exactly. Me too. On that note. Okay, other questions. Let's see. I have all my questions because Stacy, I think somebody else wrote into me, but I didn't screenshot it. Let me see. I've got my other Facebook page over here on my iPad. No, I don't. Where did my Facebook go? There it is. Aw, my cutie. Oh, good. Phyllis, are you on here? Phyllis, I'm seeing your picture, your question. It says, can you recommend a beginner's book on energy? You talk about how when someone passes, their spirits connects with the energy of others. I'd like to read more about that. Did you read my book, Phyllis? My book talks a little bit about that, but you're looking more for energy. But if you didn't read my book, read that one first, please. Why not? I could do shameless plugs. What beginner book on energy would I recommend? I'm a real energy snob because I feel that energy descriptions are still 200 years behind. So why am I having a blank on this? Give me a few minutes. I'll think of I'll realize who You know what? I mean, it's not so much energy, but it's consciousness. Anything with, it's not an energy book, but Michael Bernard Beckwith is a good one on consciousness and the state of being and our soul. I know that's not really quite what you're looking for, though. Donna Eden is a known energy medicine person. So if you wanted to learn specifically about energy, I would say hers. But anytime you're reading any book about energy, about soul, about spirit, read it and then let it assimilate. Let yourself see what yourself comes up with, because you're all already so plugged in and on point and tuned in. And I feel like the more we listen to only what others say, the less you connect to your own. So when you read my book, hear my words, hear my viewpoint, and then go, how much of this resonates with me? Maybe the whole thing, maybe none of it, maybe one piece of it, but assimilate it for your own self instead of trying to learn it from that person as it is, especially when it's dealing with energy, because energy, you are the energy tool to create the perception and the understanding of how energy works. So if Donna Eden says red frequency energy moves through your body like this, while there'll be science to it, you can then check inward yourself and see, like, does that resonate? I think you'd have to read more to really totally understand what I'm really talking about. So I'm cautious with energy. Well, any books, but energy books. So I'll think about it. It's going to drive me crazy. Anything on energy with chakras itself. There's a woman named Anodea Judith. I still don't think that's quite the book you want. Don't just read anything about chakras from anywhere, because the internet has 8 trillion things about chakras and they start getting really conflicting. So if you want technical information about chakras, Anodea Judith is one of the known, and anything by Deepak Chopra with the chakras is good. All right. Did you ever get a reading from that the spirit on the other side made you feel like they would want to be back on Earth? Great question, Jeannie. Nope. No. Not a one that I can recall. And I think I would remember that because, like, I'd remember that. No, none of them do. And some people get really mad when I say that, because they'll say, does so-and-so miss me? And I'm like, no, they don't miss you because they're not separated from you. So they don't have the experience of missing them like we miss them. They don't miss us because they're right with us. They're here. But no one says, like, yeah, I loved it. I loved being human. And there's plenty of people who come through who loved life and enjoyed life and were such alive people. But no, nobody's ever like, yeah, I'd rather choose that life of limitation. I'd choose that over exponential freedom. So no, that's a great question, though. See, Matt, exactly. Yeah, that closure word, I think, is an outdated word. Sometimes we get moments of healing, and I'm grateful I could be a part of that, because I can feel it for people when they get like a chunk of grief moved, either through a session or whatever. I love that. Freaking love that. On that note too, so I keep talking about my energy transformation awareness class. I call it ETA, right? So I teach this class once, maybe twice a year. Last year, because of pandemic, I only did it once. I was not going to add more to the year for people, myself and for people. But it's energy transformation awareness, ETA. I've been talking about it for a long time. It is my most intense workshop that I teach. Last year, it was supposed to be in person, and we were supposed to start the Friday after quarantine started. So we started on Zoom, thinking that maybe in, April, May, we would eventually get to do the class in person. Well, that never got to happen. We did the entire course on Zoom. I did not think I could do it because it is so emotionally intense and so freeing and so opening. And it's really, really, really like the very beginner's step on your journey with me in the way that I work it. It's not fun. I'm not going to tell you it's fun. It's one person, Mallory, I saw her on here before. I don't know if she's still on here. She called it's my favorite ever. She said that it's an emotional bloodbath. Isn't that terrible? And I love it. Why do I love it? It's because through that class, we do this process that I call dredging, and we pull up this old stuck energy, that stuff we were kind of talking about in the beginning that like is holding us back, the old identity self. It's sitting in our cells, that energy. And we don't even know it's there. We don't know what it is. And that class is designed to move it. Even if we move one thing, exponential growth happens. So it's powerful, it's intense, it's the greatest experience ever. So there was a few of you on here that did it with me on Zoom that I was concerned that it wasn't going to be as powerful in person, but in Zoom it was amazing because they got just as bonded as a group as every other group I've had before this. And I've taught this to probably about 150 people. I take a limited amount in a class because I don't want a class of like 20 or 30 people. I could never do it then. It's about 28 to 30 hours of class time with me over a series of weeks. Super intense. It's my favorite. It is my favorite. I teach you about energy, how energy works in your body, not how energy works in my body and should apply to you. We talk about blocks. We talk about learning how to feel energy in our hands. By the first, 2 hours, you'll be able to experience energy coming out through your hands. So that's starting February 19th is the kickoff. It's a Friday night, and we're just going to meet on Zoom for like an hour and a half, and then it starts that weekend. Super powerful. It's going to move stuff for you. That I know because I've seen it time and time again. It takes a lot out of me. It's a lot of intake paperwork that I ask for. It's a big deal. It's a big, big deal. So a lot of you has asked, yeah, Carolyn was in the class. Carolyn was in the class that was on Zoom. So she was in that pilot class of, okay, let's go for it. So was Mike. I don't know if Mike is still on here, but super powerful class. So that's coming up. It'll actually be on my website tomorrow morning. Or tomorrow mid-morning. So you can check that out or email my office tonight if you want to be in it, because I will only take the top 15 people. And that's a high number. So depending as whose energies I'm seeing sign up, if it's big energies, I will cut that down to 10, 12, maybe 9, somewhere in there. So depending on who signs up, I'll only take a certain amount. So that's tomorrow. Yes, Joan said, have your Kleenex in hand. Absolutely. Have your Kleenex by your side. But it's so worth it, Joan said. Thank you. Stacy, have I ever connected with someone famous like Elvis or John Lennon? Yeah. What's the guy who with Marilyn Monroe? Mickey Mantle? Is that him? I always forget. It's the one Joe DiMaggio. That's who it is. I always think it's Mickey Mantle. Joe DiMaggio, a couple of times. Had no idea, but I remember saying, I didn't know this was Joe DiMaggio, but I remember saying 2 separate times of reading him, I'm like, wow, was he a really big Yankee fan? And they were like, yeah, he was. And I'm like old Yankees, like Babe Ruth Yankees. And they're like Joe DiMaggio and Yankees. And I'm like, yeah, that time. They're like, So then they told me at the end of the reading, because it was their Uncle Joe. And at the end of the reading, they were like, by the way, my Uncle Joe is Joe DiMaggio. And I was like, shut up. No way. Another time, someone else came through. I can't remember how they were related, but I kept seeing Marilyn Monroe. And I was like, there's no way I'm reading Marilyn Monroe. And they're like, no, but you might. I didn't read Marilyn. It was Joe talking about Marilyn, which was so freaking cool. The other person, my favorite famous person story. This one, I'm such a dork, you guys. So I used to fly out to California about 6 times a year to do readings out there. My father lived at that time in LA, and I'd go out many times. On the days that my kids were with their dad at that time, the very beginning of our divorce, they actually stayed at his house. So when they were there, I'd fly out to California. And I'm sitting with this couple, and I keep seeing Michael Jackson in my head, right? But I'm not thinking it's Michael Jackson. I'm thinking, oh, they're trying to get me to say something about a performer, somebody who may be dancing really well because he was dancing. Or maybe they're trying to get me to say the name Michael. I wasn't really sure. So I kind of ignored it. And then I finally say to them, I don't know, like, are you guys like in entertainment or something? Because I keep seeing like Michael Jackson dancing. So I don't know, like, do you dance? And they're like, oh no, he was a friend of ours. Well, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I was so not cool in that moment. Such a dork. I went, shut the fuck up. No way. This is what I did. I couldn't believe it, right? I got starstruck by a deceased celebrity. And I totally lost my concentration on it because I was so excited that it legit was Michael Jackson. It was a friend of theirs. And that I lost the whole connection. And they were so adorable and gracious about it. But I was like, oh my God, I'm talking to Michael. I got nothing after that. Nothing. Nothing. And I'm like, I missed my chance. Because it's not like I'm going to dial Michael now because I need somebody who knows him. Otherwise, then I think I'm crazy. So I would be crazy if I'm like, Mike, I'm in a conversation with Michael Jackson. So those are the two most notable. A lot of baseball players out in California, but not ones that I knew the name of, which doesn't mean anything. They probably were super famous and I didn't know the name. I can't remember them now. They were Dodgers people. People from bands, but those were the big ones. Joe DiMaggio and Michael Jackson were the big ones. So yeah, that was fun. I always like to remember that because I was so not cool. I was such a dork. It's terrible. Thank God they were good. Oops. Thank God they were good about it. You know, they could have been like, wow, this woman's nuts. Maybe they were. Linda is saying to bring lots of chocolate for your ETA experience. So yes, bring lots of chocolate. Whatever your vice is, bring it. Let's see. Guys, I'm reading your questions. That's why I look so weird into the phone here. That's a good one, Kelly. Why is it that cardinals are such a strong spiritual symbolism of a returning loved one? And do we choose what we come back as? Great question. Cardinals have become a thing, truly, to represent the loved one, the energy of a loved one. Since, in my opinion, I've seen a huge surge in the cardinal signs since Facebook. And people are going to be like, what? Why? They are a sign. They are a wink. They come through. But something that irks me as a medium is that when, say you have a connection to a cardinal and you know that's your grandmother. When you see the cardinal, you know that's your grandmother and that's sacred and divine. But what happens, or what I've seen people, they'll say, oh, to their friend, you didn't know that every time you see a cardinal, that means your deceased loved one is around? And they're like, no, it's my grandmother. It's like your grandmother. And so then people start telling you what your signs and symbols are from your loved ones. There's no universal sign. Cardinals, dimes, pennies, dragonflies, ladybugs, sunflowers, feathers, trying to think of what else. Butterflies. These are the big ones that come through a lot because it's what we attribute to the other side. But I don't like that only because it's not for everybody. None of those signs are any for myself, for my own loved ones on the other side. None. So you might not have any of them. And people will come to me like, how come I don't see a cardinal? And I'm like, because you live in Arizona. There are no cardinals out there. You're not going to see them out there. So yes, when you have a sign and you feel connected to that sign, it's a sign, 100%. I don't care what it is. Every time I see a thread, it's this one. Whatever the sign is, that's your sign when you feel it. But never tell somebody that, oh, dimes are from heaven, pennies from heaven. Oh, feathers are a loved one. Don't tell them that. You can say, oh, you know what? Every time I see a cardinal, I always think of my grandmother and that's my sign that it's my grandmother. You could say that, but don't say like, yeah, no, all cardinals are a sign from your loved one, because there's a post that goes around on Facebook. And it's helpful because for those of you that have cardinals as a sign, as soon as you see the post, it's a sign to you. So that's cool, but it's not universal. It's not universal. It's kind of like, saying to everyone like, no, everybody eats beef. And you're like, no, they don't. The vegetarians, and they don't eat it. So you don't want to have a universal anything for anybody. So I think cardinals in particular became very popular in the last 15 years. And I think that's from social media. Yes, it existed way before that, but it's taken on like this whole other thing since social media, where they say, did you know that cardinals are a sign from your loved one? Yes, it might be true, but it's not a universal sign. So does that make sense to you guys? I hope that helps you feel good instead of, oh man, that's not my sign. No, if you feel it's your sign, it's your sign. I'm telling the people who never see cardinals or have no connection to it, then it's just not your sign. That's all. Make sense? And do we choose what we come back as? We can. Also, it's not like they are the cardinal. It's more like when you see the cardinal, it's a reminder that they're seeing the cardinal with you. They're observing that with you. So a lot of times people will say, Deborah, I know my mom is a butterfly. And I didn't want to kill it because I didn't want to kill my mom. And I'm like, no, your mom's not a butterfly. When you're seeing the butterfly, it is a sign, or a wink, as I call it, from your mom that she's there with you with that butterfly landing on your shoulder. Does that make sense? Okay. Good. I'm glad, Carolyn. I don't feel I have any signals since my husband died. That's grief, Phyllis. That happens. So try not to ask for them, and just know that you're not going to get it right now. And then over time, it will develop. But it will happen. Let's see. All right. I know it's late. So guys, don't forget what's happening here. What time will what be for my available tomorrow? Some point in the morning, Michelle said that she would have it all ready. So email the office, which is info@beingknowingdoing.com, if you want information about ETA, so we could put you on the list before it books up. So, and if you're supposed to be there, you're going to be there. That's just how it is. Good. I'm glad, Kelly. That's helpful. Okay. All right. So we are going to be here again on Sunday night, guys. Don't forget meditation. So if you haven't signed up for that ever, try that. You're going to see me right here. It's going to be just like this, only I'm going to get to see you back if you put your cameras on. So that's Sunday night, 7:30. If you just want to sign up for one night, it's $15. If you want to do it for the month, for a whole month, I forget what it is now. It's $60, I think, for the month. I forget. Because I just started this whole thing, and January launch was a different price, but that was a 6-month commitment. So it was I'm pretty sure it's $60. Isn't that terrible? I don't know. It's just because we've had so many things going on. That and the Teachable, DeborahHanlon.teachable.com to get the free class. Sign up for the online school. Once you sign up, scroll down to the bottom. It'll say be in the now, or being in the now. It's got an icon of a head with little clocks all over it. So click on that. It's totally free, and then take that class. I'd like your feedback over the next week. So I like to hear from you guys. Keep sending me your questions, and always thank you so much for tuning in and listening to my drivel. And if somebody gets information on how cavemen were able to drink water and how much they did and all that stuff, I want that information. I really do, because it's bothering me. So have a good night. Thank you so much. And I will see you hopefully on Sunday at meditation, or next Monday here. So good night. Goodbye.